Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zenker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host on this show. And we are always looking for experts and leaders in their space to help you to work smarter, not harder. And I know you've heard that so many times, but we don't do what we know, right? We want to work smarter, but somehow it's not that we don't know, but somehow I think it's in our psychology that knocks us off track. So today, I am super excited to have an expert on success. Dr. Ruth Gotian. She is the Chief Learning Officer and Assistant Professor of Education in Anesthesiology and former Assistant of the Dean of Mentoring and Executive Director of the Mentoring Academy at the Weill Cornell Medicine School. And she's going to tell us a lot more about herself. But interesting enough, she was selected as one of 30 people worldwide to be named on Thinker's 50 radar list, dubbed as the Oscars of management thinking. And she was shortlisted as the top 8 emerging management thinkers in the world. People, she has a book that's coming up called The Success Factor, and we're going to hear more about it right now. So welcome, Dr. Ruth. Hey.
Hello. Thank you so much. I get so excited when I hear this, that other people are excited about success because I'm obsessed with it. So I love to hear that others want to know more about it as well.
Oh, well, tell us why you're obsessed with success. What's up with that?
Well, it's so interesting.
Overbearing parents or something?
Oh, helicopter, right? Black Hawk parents. No. Well, I've always been surrounded by extreme high achievers. I used to run what's called an MD PhD program for over 20 years. And that program had a 3.5% success rate.
Wow.
So these people were just the creme de la creme. I mean, these were the best of the best. And even within that group, you see that some people even rise further to the top. But what I was realizing was that every academic article, every conversation at the national meeting, all the money that was being funneled into the programs was focused on retention. How do we keep these people? How do we prevent them from leaving the workforce? And I kept thinking to myself, those people are going to leave anyway, no matter what you do. Why don't we look instead at the other end of the spectrum, the people whose work is so brilliant and so magnificent and so productive and so effective that they will more than make up for anyone who's leaving. And fun fact, high achievers produce 400% more than the average employee. So at the age of 43, while working full-time and raising a family and having elder care for my parents, I decided, let's add one more thing to the list. And I decided to go back to school and get my doctorate. So I did. And I looked at the most successful physician scientists of our generation. These are physicians who are also scientists. And after I finished that degree, I said, well, these 4 things that I found in those people, which were Nobel Prize winners and surgeon generals and NIH Institute directors, I wonder if other extreme high achievers do the same 4 things. And these are not habits. These are mindsets, which means we can all do it. So I started interviewing astronauts and Olympic champions and Fortune 500 CEOs and senior government officials and people of that caliber. And I quickly realized that it doesn't matter if you're an Olympic gold medalist or an astronaut. It's the same 4 things that they're all doing. So if that's the case,
I want to stop you for a second because you said something extremely important. And of course, I'm impressed with all of those people that you've studied and had access to, which is amazing. But you said that it's not habits, it's mindsets.
Yes.
And I want that to sink in for people
Yes.
It's not habits, because none of us want to create new habits, right? Right?
No.
Just the thought of people thinking that they're going to have to create new habits, but new mindsets, right? Because that's where everything starts, is in the mindset. What we do is driven by the mindset. So I just want people to let that sink in, that quote, we are our worst enemies, right? We can also be our greatest coach and driver just by simply shifting our mindset.
But Penny, that's so true what you're saying, because I'm a morning person. I wake up before the sunrise. I can get more work done by 10 o'clock than most people can do before their first cup of coffee. But 10 o'clock at night, I am done. You are not getting anything out of me. And there's some people who are night owls who just want to be up all night and working. I could never do that. I think I pulled one all-nighter my entire life, and that was enough to last me my entire life. I can't do it. So people have different abilities to do different types of things. There's no way you're going to get good, productive, creative work out of me at 2 o'clock in the morning. Right. While I could do amazing work at 7 a.m., which might sound like the most horrific thing to other people. So if you are not a morning person, don't do my habit. Do the habit of, what works for you. But the mindset, you could do it any time of day. And that's so critical.
Let's peer open the curtain and let's better understand, what are those mindsets? What is behind this high level of success?
So there's really 4 things that all of these people had in common. And as I said, the astronaut is just like the Olympic champion. And if that's the case, it means all of us can do these things, right? So these are learnable and teachable. So the first thing that all of these people did, right? And nobody, I want to be clear, nobody started their career saying, I want to win the Nobel Prize. Nobody said, I'm starting my career wanting to win an Olympic medal. No one said, I like physics, therefore I'm going to be an astronaut. It didn't work that way. The way it worked, and these are all 4 things, and you have to do all 4 things together, is you have to find what you were put on this earth to do. You are so passionate about it. You love it so much that you would do it for free if you could. And we call that in adult learning intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation means you are doing it for yourself. There is a question, a burning desire inside of you. You need to have it answered. This is different from extrinsic motivation, which means the fuel to get you to do something is based on a recognition, an award, a diploma, a promotion, an attagirl. That is your motivation. It'll get you through a period of time. It's not sustainable. You will burn out or fail out.
Right.
If you have intrinsic motivation, no matter if there's a pandemic, if there are forest fires, floods, civil unrest, you will still push through because this is what you were born to do. You can't see yourself doing anything else.
Someone I heard posed an interesting question that goes along with what you're saying. They said, what is it that you cannot help but doing? You must do it. Like you can't stop. You can't shut your mouth. You can't not get involved, right?
Yes.
It's one of those things where you wish you would stop, but you're just propelled to do that. So it's that kind of thing, right?
You can't stop. And frankly, you don't want to.
Right.
You don't want to. The second thing is, now you've heard of the billionaires, Mark Cuban, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. They all read 3 to 8 hours a day. They just devour books and newspapers. And that works for them. But I don't want you to think that you can copy that habit of reading 3 to 8 hours a day and you're going to be a billionaire. No, that is not what made them a billionaire. What did make them a billionaire was that they recognized that they don't have all the answers. They don't know everything. They are open to new knowledge. Well, what are the ways that you can be open to new knowledge? Well, look, I'm an academic, so I love to read. And if I had 3 to 8 hours a day, I would. But I don't think most people love to read 3 to 8 hours a day or don't have 3 to 8 hours a day to read. So what are the other ways that you can consume new knowledge? Well, you could listen to a podcast such as this one. I really hope I'm dropping some nuggets for everybody. You could read articles. You could read blogs. You could watch YouTube. You could go on social media from people that you trust and gain new knowledge. Now, the other thing is all of these extreme high achievers had not one mentor, but a team of mentors that they could get additional perspectives.
That's the word that came to my mind, right? Was look for others who have seen this kind of success and model them, right? Get mentors. Absolutely. Interesting.
That's right.
They had a team team of mentors, right? I always think of Michael Jordan, who had like 6 coaches. People were like,
That's right.
Why did he have so many coaches, right? Because he wanted to get all those different perspectives. Would you say that it's Daniel Pink in his book, he talked about one of the core drivers of motivation being mastery. Would you call this like the search for mastery type of thing? Is that what this point is?
And I do reference Daniel Pink, but it's not so much the search for mastery. It's the unquenched desire to learn more, do more, achieve more. And you know what? You're never fully going to get there, which is why they keep going for it and keep going for it more and more and more. So that's about the learning through informal means and constantly being open to new knowledge. The third element is the strong foundation, which is constantly being reinforced. So the same thing that's being done in a junior high gym is the same thing that you would see in an Olympic Village or the NBA courts. Same thing, same drills. I don't know of a single Olympic champion, and at this point I know a lot of them, and I don't know a single Nobel Prize winner who stopped doing science or stopped doing their warm-ups because they reached the elite level. It doesn't happen. They got to that elite level because they never stopped doing the basic drills. Right. So you always have to do that and constantly reinforce it.
Before you get to the last point, because I like to just add my 2 cents in here, I can't help but do it, right? That third point, right? It makes me think of karate as like one of the great sports that, you know, you're still doing those same basic forms, but as you go up through the belts, right? You're doing it with more precision. You're doing it with more control. It's just the nuances and the tweaks that you put on those basics that are the difference, right? Between the novice and the master.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that karate example. Those katas that you start with are the same ones that you do later on. It does not stop. Now, speaking of karate, what is the black belt?
Right. There's multiple levels of black belt, right? I always say that. There's never an end. They always say that. They're very humble.
There's always more. And one of the things to understand about being a black belt in any of the martial arts is really that they're a white belt that never quit. So what you see with these extreme high achievers is that they don't quit. They look at challenges very differently. They have such a strong work ethic. They work so hard. When they're faced with a challenge, they never just say, oh, I can't do this. It can't be done. They never say that. Instead, they focus on what do I need to do to overcome this challenge? They know they're going to overcome it. They're going to go over it, around it, through it. They'll get to that other side. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of how. So they shift their entire mindset to focus on strategies to overcome a challenge. And that's why that's why so many of them were so productive during the pandemic.
Absolutely. Right. It's because I always say that too, is we can decide. That's my whole focusology and focusologist, being a focusologist, we get to decide to control and direct our focus, right? Do we want to be focused on those strategies and what we can control, or do we want to exhaust ourselves focusing on what we can't control? And whichever one we decide to focus on is going to decide our outcome. So I
love that you said that, because extreme high achievers focus on controlling what they can control.
Yes. So I want to go back. I know you've got a lot more to share. A lot of people saying, yeah, I know that, or I get this. And, you know, there's always the yeah, but, right? Yeah, I do that, but it doesn't work that way. I haven't seen that level of success. And I guess one of the things that came up for me, like, because we talked about it being mindset and never quitting and the repetition of the fundamentals and always looking to be better. There are a lot of professional athletes anyway who have burned out, right? And I'm sure also professional scientists and, you know, across the board, because you can burn out from that much passion too. So how do people who are obsessed with success or the result or, you know, making a difference, how do they keep from burning out?
Fun fact, I knew what burnout was before I ever knew what work was, because Dr. Herb Freudenberger, who coined that term over 40 years ago, was a cousin of mine. So we heard about it long before we ever knew what work was. I find that fascinating. But what's interesting with all of these people, it was never about the medal. It was never about the prize. And of all those people I interviewed, only 2 actually had their medals on display. If you ask most Olympians where they keep their medals, it's in a brown paper bag in the sock drawer. It's in the nightstand. It's at my mother's basement. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It is not on display. There's only 2 of them.
Come on.
In a brown paper bag. It's in a safe under the bed. Oh, yeah. Very, very few have it on display because they all tell me it's one chapter in their lives. It's not their entire story. It was never about the medal. The medal was a goal. But there's always another goal after that. And that is what has kept them healthy, is always having another goal and always having another aspiration, always being able to work towards something else. If you look at Apolo Anton Ono, the most decorated Winter Olympian of all times, he has done so much since he retired from short track speed skating. Everything from Dancing with the Stars to being an angel investor. Right? I mean, he's done so much. So that is one of the things is it can never be about the medal.
What I found interesting for me is that from a very young age, I started my own business and I built it up to a multi-million-dollar business and I sold it to a public company. And there was so much stress after that because it was like, yeah, now what? Like, what if I don't, like, people have these high expectations of me. I have such high expectations now of me. Like, what if I don't live up to those? You know what I mean? What if I don't create something? And I went through a couple of years where I guess my identity got caught up in that success. Have you seen that with people that you've talked to, and how do they deal with that?
So I think the ones who I have spoken to are very, very good at compartmentalizing. Their identity is not around their achievement, but they also surround themselves with people who keep them very, very humble. And I think that is what has created such a healthy outlook for them. And that is why they didn't burn out, because they were surrounded by other people. And it's not just surrounding yourself with people who tell you how wonderful and magnificent you are and that you can do no wrong. No, these are the people who will give you the real deal. And those people, that inner circle of theirs has been with them for years, for decades. And I think that is what is so healthy. And that's what prevents them from crumbling.
So it's that group, do you think, that helps them to reset the expectations? Or I found that the interesting thing is you want to set your goals really high, right? But at the same time, you don't want to get bogged down with expectations, because you can reach incredible, especially when you let go of expectations. Maybe you get even higher than you had ever expected. But if expectations can be that limiter.
Right. But remember, success is a moving target. And that's what most people don't realize, right? So you probably see with your work, people set these goals and then they're never able to achieve them. But sometimes we don't even want those goals anymore, but we're so fixated on them, and we have vision boards for them, and we have Post-it notes about them, right? But we have all seen during the pandemic that our goals pre-pandemic are likely very different from our in the midst of the pandemic goals. I'm not even going to say post-pandemic because we're not there yet.
Right, we're not there.
But our goals have changed. And that is one of the things that we need to understand, that we need to be flexible. Success is a moving target. Our goals are a moving target. And if we don't move with that movement, we're going to be stuck and we're going to go chasing after things that we don't even want anymore.
Right. That don't make sense anymore, or that aren't good for us, or
no.
Right.
Exactly. So one of the people who I interviewed is a 2-time gold medalist in judo for the United States. And she won the gold medal twice, but during that second time in Rio, she just didn't have it in her anymore. And she said that, and she knew this was going to be her last time. And every single Olympian I have spoken to says, I know this is going to be my last time. I need to do something else. And they switched to something else. So Kayla, the one who does judo, she switched to mixed martial arts. Mm-hmm. And she said the judo was her first love. The mixed martial art is her adult love. Mm-hmm. So you need to be able to move with that and understand that there's a moving target and you need to move with it.
That's great. It's reminding me of my daughter that just made a really big choice and switch where she wasn't enjoying soccer. She's been playing soccer forever and at a really high level. And she felt like she just wasn't enjoying it anymore. So she decided to play something else. Because high achievers, like a lot of times people think, and I even got caught up in this. I'm like, what? You're going to quit? You've been playing all these years? Like you could, get to the next level and get to the next level. And I find that so healthy and that she was so clear for herself. How do people give themselves permission to let go of a goal, to pivot and not be held back?
And that's so hard. And I think you need to give yourself permission to do that. And I think that's where surrounding yourself with a group of mentors is so critical. When I coach people and I'm looking at them and I'm listening so carefully to the sound of their voice and they're talking to me about their goals, I actually worked with someone and she had to switch what her goal was because she's talking to me about what she wants to do. And I said, I'm not hearing the joy in your voice.
You're not hearing the passion and the joy. Yeah.
I'm not hearing it. And then we realized that's what she felt she had to do. That's not what she wanted to do. And I said, so what do you do in your free time? What do you do on weekends? And slowly but surely I do passion audits with people. And surely we figured out what she loves doing. And all of a sudden, her whole demeanor changed. Her face lit up. There was joy. There was a bounce in her voice. She was lighter and freer. And I know she's going to do great things with that.
Fantastic. Something you said earlier strikes me in this part of the conversation. You said that they're doing it for themselves, right?
Yes.
That's intrinsic. Mm-hmm. So if you notice that you're doing it for someone else, and I think that's where my daughter was clear, is that it wasn't fun for her anymore. And it didn't matter what her coach wanted or, what other people thought she should be doing. She was clear on her internal guidance system. And I think that's so important for people to get clear for themselves as to what it is they want versus what other people want.
Absolutely. And as soon as you get crystal clear on that, things just open up.
So do you have like a question that people can ask themselves or like an exercise,
Yes.
You said on the free time, but is there something that people can tap into?
Absolutely. So I talk people through what's called a passion audit, because just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you enjoy doing it, doesn't mean you have to do it anymore, like your daughter with the soccer, right? So I take people through a passion audit, which really talks about listing all the things you're good at, listing all the things you would give away for free if you could, if your title didn't change, if your salary didn't change, and what you love doing that you would do for free if you could. Because the research has shown that we only need to spend 20% of our time doing what we love at work in order for us not to be bogged down by the other 80%. I talk people through this exercise and we really fine tune everything. And if your listeners want to download that worksheet, they can. It's on my website at ruthgotian.com/passion audit. And if you go and do that passion audit, you just download it for free. You will figure out very quickly what it is you love doing and what you can do without.
Awesome. I love that. And you brought in the 80-20 rule, which I'm a huge fan. As being a focusologist, I practice stepping back and recognizing the 20% that makes 80% of the difference. So absolutely. I hear that here too, right? As you're saying that at work, if we have 20% of what makes us happy and is in our passion zone, what I'm hearing about, it's going to make up for everything else that
absolutely.
Might be. That's awesome. I love that. So is there anything else that we need to know about your upcoming book? Is there something else that you wanted to share that I didn't yet ask you?
The book is called The Success Factor, and it talks about these 4 elements of success, and it has the stories, the real life stories that you've never really heard from these extreme high achievers, some of whom you know, they're household names,
right?
And some you've never heard of before, but should be on your radar. But then it actually takes you through exercises and ideas of how you can implement these 4 elements into your own life so you can start improving your success immediately. And the book is written so you can read it pages at a time. You don't even have to go in sequence. Use it as you need to, especially as you go through transition. So it's now available for pre-sale wherever you buy your books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's called The Success Factor. And I'm excited for everyone to read it.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get reading it as well. Before we sign off together, let me just ask you a couple quick questions that I ask many of my guests. I'm curious, right? Coming from this perspective, how do you define productivity and why?
Everyone, including myself, has lists of Post-it notes of all of these things they have to accomplish. It's our to-do list. And 80, 90% of the stuff never gets done. On those days that I could actually block off time, and I do this, I block off time on my calendar to accomplish the tasks on my to-do list. And when I actually finish them, that's success. That's a productive day.
All right. Awesome. So when you check off those things off your to-do list, that's a productive day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Awesome. What is the most important life lesson that you've learned?
So it's something that my mentor told me, and it's really pushed me to take this work and make it as big as it's become. He said to me, do something important, not just interesting. Because if it's important, it'll have an impact. If it's interesting, it's just a hobby. And I want to leave this world better than I found it. And I feel that my way to do it is to raise the bar and teach people who want to be successful how to be successful. Because I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning aiming for average. So that's my goal.
Thank you all for being here, because that there is this desire inside to be more. We're using success as a word here, but that means whatever it means to you. And we just want to make sure that we're clear for all of you who are listening. Success doesn't necessarily mean an Olympic medal or a Nobel Prize. For some people, that might be in the potential, and for some people, maybe not. Success means different things to different people, but that doesn't mean that you can't leave the world a better place than when you came in it. It means you can add meaning in your life and have that purpose and be able to live a happier and more impactful and meaningful life, that level of success. So I wish that for all of you. Do check out this passion audit. I think that you're going to get some insights there as to what you really love to do, maybe what you don't love to do anymore, and you didn't even realize that you were doing it for someone else. So I think it's a great time, pandemic especially. It's a perfect time to step back and to look at the things that we do, what's working, what's not working, why we do it, and reset our priorities. That's what being a focusologist is all about, is stepping back to reset and making sure that we're focused in the areas that give us the greatest level of happiness and joy and direction and passion, etc. So thank you all. We'll see you in the next episode. My name is Penny Zanker, and this is Take Back Time. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.